Okay, so let's see how we start working this first row of red V's. Okay, so I've made a slip knot here, made it like this. There we go, lovely slip knot. Then I take it off, place my hook here into this very first corner of the first row, pop on my slip knot, pull it through, then I chain one to secure it, pull that quite tight, and then I do chain two. Now that chain two is going to be the second leg, so if that's our V there, this chain two will be this leg of the V that we will finish when we bring this round. So this first V I'm only doing the second half of, and then I'm moving on to do more V stitches, which will go round and round, and at the end I will finish the last leg of that first V stitch. Okay, this will make sense, I hope. So for now, that's just a chain two. You attach your yarn, chain two. Then what we do is we start making a V stitch into this next row. So that was our first row, this is our second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. Second row is this knobbly one, okay? Yarn over, go, and there's no obvious hole here, you just kind of have to make one for yourself because we're going into the side of the work. So you just find a place, pop your hook through, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 on your hook. Now at this point, you pull through all 3. Oh gosh, sorry. So you've done chain 2 here, yarn over, go into the second row, pull up a loop. You should have 3 on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, then you do chain 1. Then yarn over, back into the same hole, pull up a loop, and you go through only 2. That has created your V. But can you see how before we go on to the next one, we will have 2 loops on our hook. Normally in crochet, we don't finish the stitch until we don't go into the next stitch until we only have 1 loop on the hook. This is an exception. Okay, so I'm just going to show you that again. We're going into the next row now. We finished this V stitch, or rather we've almost finished it. It will be finished once we put the hook into the next row. I'll show you. Okay, so we've got that. At the moment, we've got that second leg of the unfinished V, which will finish right at the end. And then we have a whole V here. And now into the next, the third row, we're actually going to do 2 V stitches into there. So just watch, yarn over into the row. Yarn over, pull up a loop. I now have 4. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Chain 1. Yarn over, back into the same hole, yarn over, go through 2. There we have another V. Can you see? And now we need to do another V into the same V, into the same stitch again. So we went in there, and then in there, and we're going to do the same thing back into here. So we will have 2 V's coming out of row 3. So yarn over, go back into the same hole, pull up a loop, you have 4, pull through 2, yarn over through 3, chain 1, yarn over back into the same one, pull up a loop, you now have 3, pull through 2, and now you remain with 2 loops on your hook. So in this row we have 2 V's, and what we need to do here is to put a stitch marker in between those 2 V's. So this is the V hole of the first V, this is the V hole of the second V, and we're putting it in between these quite tight long stitches here, right in the middle. And the reason for why we're doing this will become clear. Okay, so we've got 2 V's and we've got a stitch marker in between the V's. V, V, stitch marker. Now we do a single V stitch into the next 4 stitches. Okay, so yarn over into this big knobbly bit, which is row 4. It's a bit tricky for some reason. There we go. There we go, 3 on the hook, go through all 3, chain 1, yarn over, go back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, you have 3, pull through 2. Right, that's 1 more V done. Now yarn over, go into the next row, pull up a loop, you should have 4, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, chain 1, yarn over, back into the same hole, pull up a loop, you have 3, yarn over, go through 2, stop. Then you go on to the next one. So that was our second V after the double. There's our double. We've got 1, 2 extra ones. Now we're carrying on, yarn over into the next row, which is this knobbly bit. Pull up a loop, you should have 4, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, chain 1. Yarn over, back into the same hole. Oh, a bit tricky there. Yarn over, you should have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. You have 2 loops on your hook. We have 1 more V stitch that we have to work in the next row before we do another double like this. Okay, so 1 more single one, yarn over into the loop, there, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, then we do chain 1, yarn over, back into the same stitch, pull up a loop, you should have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, you have 2 left. So let's just check what we've done here. So this is our unfinished half of a V. Then we have 1 full V, a double V with a stitch marker in the middle, then a V, a V, a V, a V, so 4 individual Vs, and now we're going to do a double V again and pop a stitch marker in between them as well. Okay, so yarn over, go into the next knobbly bit, pull up a loop, you should have 4, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 3, chain 1. There we go. Yarn over, back into the same hole, pull up a loop, you should have 3, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to do another V in the same place. Yarn over, back in the same place, pull up a loop, you should have 4, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, chain 1, yarn over, back into the same hole, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and you should have 2 left. At this point, we need to put a stitch marker in between these 2 V's. Here's our first V, here's our second V, and we need a stitch marker in there. So you stretch it out as much as you can, pop that in there, and now you can see we've got 2 places now where we've had a double. After that, we need to make one more V stitch, pardon me, into the next 2 stitches. So we're going to do a V stitch in here, row 9, and a V stitch in row 10, and then we've got to finish that half V stitch from the very beginning. Okay, so yarn over, go into row 9, which is down here, 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, chain 1, yarn over, back into the same hole, pull up a loop, you now have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, and you've got 2 left on your hook, which you know is a sign you need to move on to the next one. So our next one is this knobbly bit right at the end. Yarn over, go straight into there, pull up a loop, you should have 4, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 3, chain 1. Yarn over, go back into the same hole, oh pardon me, there, pull up a loop, you should have 3, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we've finished all of those rows, but we have to bring this work together. Remember, that first row doesn't have a complete V-stitch. So what we do here is we do the first half of the V-stitch only. So we do yarn over, go into this first row, and in doing so you can see we've made the collar into a circle. Go in there, pull up a loop, we have 4, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 3, and then we have to do chain 1, and then we have to join that to the top of our chain 2, which is this chain here, and we do a slip stitch to close the row. There we go, there's our slip stitch. Okay, and now we do chain 1, we cut the yarn, pull it through, and there's our first row of the V's. Okay, now at this stage, of course, what we want to do is we want to sew this collar together so there's no holes, and we also want to weave in these red ends, and of course we want to, as usual, weave in the ends into their same colour. So here is the white. Now there's no correct, quote unquote, correct way to do this, but if you want to mimic the ribbing at the back, then what you do is you make sure that the slightly ribbed bit goes slightly ahead or on top of the other bit, and you want to keep that out of the way, she says. There we go. So the way to do that is through here, under there, pull it through. Okay, and then this red is slightly in the way. How did that get up there? There we go, that's better. So then we want to go back up through this bit. Because it's the same colour, you really can't see the stitches, and then you weave them in as you would normally, invisibly round like that. And then the same with the other bit of white. There we go. So this can go in here. There. Down there somewhere. There. And then we can cut that off. And then you do the same thing with the red as well. Okay. So that's the second row of the sweater.